Welcome to Post-Colonial Space. I'm Masood Raja. And today, in continuation of my series on academic writing trips, I would like to talk about how to place your work within the lived realities of the world, how to connect it to life itself, to the world in which we live. And I'll explain how to do that, but also why do we need to do it and what's its significance. But first, I have an aside. I would like to take a few moments to introduce you to a company that I just encountered. And by the way, this is not sponsored. It is a company that produces supplements and completely natural supplements, health supplements, and the name is Zenus Global Health. Now, I got to know about the company and their products through my brother-in-law, who is working on their website and on their YouTube channel and on their other channels. And he introduced me to Doug, the owner, who is the vision behind the company. Now, they have been in business since the mid-1980s. Zenus Global is a very well-known brand, but they are now trying to reach out a wider audience through social media and through all the modes available to reach out to more people. So people in my family have used these supplements and they have had great results with them, and therefore I highly recommend that you should at least go and check out their website, their YouTube channel, and their Facebook and other spaces where they have started making a presence. So don't forget Zenus Global, and I'll post the links to all their channels, their website, and everything else in the description to this video. And also, if you are entrepreneurial and if you would like to get involved in getting and marketing their products, their website has a really seamless mechanism where you can sign up and maybe become a distributor and explore the possibilities of your own entrepreneurial potential. So, a shout out to Zenus Global. Thank you so much for, being patiently listening to this. And as I mentioned, this is not sponsored. This is just me personally recommending a company that I believe produces good products for health as supplements. Okay, so going on to the topic at hand, which is how to place your work in the real world, or why. So remember, we all who work in academia, I used to, when we are writing a paper, our primary concern is to pick up a text, write about it, explore it, see how it works, what are the mechanics of it, what are the aesthetics of it, how does it impact the reader. These are some of the concerns that we try to explore in our papers. But when I was teaching graduate classes, especially when I was teaching how to write a good article, I would always encourage my students to also add another layer to their analysis, and that was, how does this essay that I am writing right now, what's its impact in the world, or what are you hoping it will teach people to take with them so that it impacts how they view the world, how they act in it, how they treat each other. And that, if I were to use a Deleuzian phrase, is creating a relay, right? Creating a relay from theory to a literary text, your discussion of the literary text, and then placing it within the social, within the contemporary debates, but also within the long conflicts that we all deal with as human beings. So if I were to use an example of it, I would post a link to that essay in the description. A few years ago, I wanted to write an article on Osman Sembin's novel, God's Bits of Wood. So when I started researching it and saw what other people had published, there were brilliant articles about it, right? But most of the articles were trying to explain what was within the novel, what happens, what kind of class structure is there, what kind of class struggles are there, which was brilliant. But I wanted to add an additional layer to it. So in that case, the novel, instead of being a point of arrival, became a point of departure for me. So what do I mean by that? It became a point of departure because I basically looked at the didactic value of the novel, right? So my point was, okay, this novel is about solidarity. It's about a strike, the famous Dakar strike. And the novel teaches us how a strike will be successful, what would be done to break it, and that the core concept, and I was using Frederick Jameson's concept, the ideology, that the ideology of the novel is solidarity, that for as long as people can retain their solidarity, cross-sectional, right, cross-class solidarity, regional solidarity, then the strike will not be broken and they will achieve their aims. So while discussing the novel, I was also articulating and somewhat theorizing that in order for any movement for social justice or social equality to succeed, the movement must attempt to create a broader solidarity, a cross-sectional solidarity. Because the more people believe in a cause and come to support it, the harder would it be for the powers that be to break the movement or to add conflict within it. So that was me creating a relay from a realistic novel, my reading of it, and the didactic possibilities for contemporary world and the movements within it, movements geared towards equality, equity, social justice. It's not a perfect essay, I just used it as an example. So I would highly recommend that whenever you conceive of a paper or when you start writing a paper, the first few layers will be, okay, this is theoretically how I think about this novel. These are the things that I would like to talk about. This is what happens in the novel, and this is the reason why. But go beyond that and see what could be the impact of the novel in the world if taught correctly or if read more open-heartedly. And then how can your essay articulate that point? So that way your work will not just be esoteric and only meant for academia, it will actually attempt to do something in the world, right? You can apply it to your essays, you can apply it to your books, you can apply it to your dissertation. You know, the possibilities are endless. Now, there's a cautionary note here too, is when you place your work within the exigencies of everyday life, right? And this, people who have read Matthew Arnold or watched my video on him would understand this. It also kind of complicates the reception of your work because sometimes the work will be occasional. Maybe its moment will pass soon. But the plus side of it is that you will then develop a scholarly repertoire, which is not just committed to highly specialized explanations and explications of the text, but you are developing a scholarly persona, a scholarly identity, which is connected to the world, the issues in it, right? And maybe wants to have a transformative impact. So in the long run, then, you will become a public intellectual, a public scholar, and your work will then speak for itself and maybe effect some change in the world too. So that's all I wanted to say as an added layer to your writing an article or a book or a book chapter, this idea of placing your work in its connection to the world in which we live and how to address some of its issues. I hope this is useful to you. Please feel free to suggest any new topics within this playlist, within this series, and I will try to address them. And thank you so much for patiently listening to me in the beginning, where I introduced you to Zenus Global Health. Please do check out their links and support them in any way you can. I would be really grateful. And as always, I hope you're safe, you're staying safe, taking care of each other, being generous to each other. Please continue to do so, and I will now see you next time. Until then, as always, peace and love.